Josh Gad, he wasn't in it.
Was he? I reckon he's more Josh sad.
Ooh.
It's too many emotions that rhyme with Gad.
Greetings, pals.
Greetings, pals.
Greetings, pals.
Welcome to the podcast. Or on the Power. My name is Frank.
My name is Marcus.
My name is Tom.
And good news. We're talking about Wicked.
Oh, we
2024 was Wicked.
The wickedly talented.
Anyway, this is the podcast Or on the Power. We talk about movies, love it or hate it. We debate it. And on this podcast, we rate films out of 11.
We do.
We do.
Thomas.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
I do.
Why do we do that?
Well, saw this movie a few days ago, and every day since 11, probably the number of minutes I've been taking for myself every day just to hold space with Wicked, just kind of taking time. You know.
Yep.
I don't know if you've been seeing that. There've been a few posts.
You got to hold space
about just holding space with the musical.
for the listener. You want to clarify because not everyone's in this.
What the fuck is
Oh, you're not with this?
No.
So have you seen much of the Wicked press tour?
No.
Cynthia and Ariana have been going at it, and one of the most recent, very funny.
Let's
clips,
clarify glowing.
Sorry.
What do you
They've
mean going at
they've
it?
been eating each other out like on the press tour.
Thomas.
And so
Thomas.
Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande have been getting very emotional, very involved on the press tour, and they recently did an interview, and someone said to them, "Just so you know, I've been seeing that a lot of people have been holding space with the lyrics for Defying Gravity." And Cynthia goes, "Oh my God, I had no idea. That's so wonderful. That's what I wanted." And then the
Wait,
interview.
is that how she sounds?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
And then
It wasn't bad.
And then the interviewer goes, "I mean, I've seen a couple of posts, but like people are holding space with this." And it's just been very fun seeing this interview clip take off where it's like, holding space is such a therapy speak online term that if it means something, doesn't mean what that interviewer thinks it means.
No.
And then like Ariana reaches over and grabs Cynthia's one finger like this to comfort her as she's like welling up. It's the most unusual clip. And then the interviewer kind of walks back and goes, "I mean, I've seen a couple. Like, I don't know if everyone's
Realize
doing that."
he's gone too far.
Goes, "I'm in queer media, so I've seen some of these
I'm
posts."
sorry, this sounds super pretentious.
The theatre kids who've made the movie musical.
Yeah.
I don't know if pretension entered into this conversation.
The press tour is a little off-putting.
It's
I would
maybe
say.
my favourite thing about
This is
these
my
hilarious.
least favourite thing about musical theatre in general. Like I
the
grew up-
people involved.
Didn't you
Fuck
meet
yeah,
your-
no, truly.
Didn't you-
Actually, though.
Sorry, let's just clarify. You met your wife during
Yeah.
a musical theatre show.
Dueling.
Dueling.
Duel of the Fates.
You guys did
I
That
apologize.
checks out,
Star
actually.
Wars Phantom Menace, right?
So stupid. So that's why we rate them out of 11.
Yeah,
Because we're
okay.
holding space.
Holding space 11 minutes
11
a
minutes
day.
a day. Very good.
With the musical.
All right, well, shout your name if you like this film.
Marcus!
Today is not the day I'm shouting my name because I didn't.
Okay, can I just say that was stunning.
That was so exciting for
We
me.
just
Wait.
kind of harmonized. We'll have to look at the playback.
I don't
on
think
that.
it
I
was
don't
good.
think it. Well, whatever. Just let
We
me have the
all
moment.
could have been Galinda.
Yeah. And then Tom's turned around just to
You hurt me like that. All right,
kick us
Tom,
in the
well,
gut.
give us a number. Give us a...
4.
Oh, my God.
Do you know, I had a feeling.
I
I had a feeling.
I'm surprised. You like it. That wasn't a lie.
No, I liked it.
You liked it. Give us a number.
I'm embarrassed, though. I'm embarrassed. 8.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Mine...
Oh, no, wait. No,
Wait.
9.
What?
That's what I wrote down. Let me stick to 9 and we'll work our way back.
All right. We'll go back down to an 8 by the end of the film. End of the pod.
I'm so sorry.
Feels like showing how the sausage gets made a little bit there.
Spoiler alert, I'm going to throw into an 8.
Yeah.
No,
I'm a 10 for sure.
Okay.
I expected that.
Maybe one of the more underwhelming sounds we
I just-
have for 10.
It's expected. Everyone knew it was going to be 10.
That's
so it's
true,
like,
actually. That
Guys,
fits.
it's like a duh.
Like
This is
duh,
10.
duh, duh.
It was an 11 until halfway through.
Okay.
And then it was an 11 for the rest of it. But there's
So once
one-
it hit the 3-hour mark, you were like,
It only
okay,
goes-
I don't know.
It's only 2
if-
hours 40.
I don't know about that.
So relax.
Somehow time distended.
You
during this
love
movie.
long movies.
I do love good long
Give
movies.
us a
Quick synopsis. Okay, well, it's part 1 of Elphaba the musical, of Wicked the musical, which if you haven't seen it, basically Elphaba is a misunderstood
It's
green...
Elphaba the musical.
Yeah, should be.
Mm.
Oh, gosh. Here's the synopsis. Elphaba, a misunderstood young woman because of her green skin, and Galinda, a popular girl, become friends at Shiz University in the land of Oz. After an encounter with the wonderful Wizard of Oz, their friendship reaches a crossroads.
Can't believe it's called shiz.
What color is that crossroads, Frank?
It's yellow. Yellow brick crossroads.
It's yellow.
I thought the first couple of times I was like, I'm mishearing it. There's no way it's shiz.
There's a lot
and
of-
by the third time, I was like, no, it's called shiz.
It's good shiz. There's a lot of like weird, whimsical play on language that I don't know if it fits now. Like the Shiz University and
Shizzle my nizzle.
what do they say? Like
They've got like they add like extra syllables to what they're like
Galindification.
instead
Yeah,
of
yeah.
horrendous or
yeah,
whatever.
little
Yes.
things like that. You go, what that? Yeah, it's kind of like what was that movie where I hated where they didn't know what words were? Furiosa.
Sure.
And I was like, why do they know what
Right,
words are?
there's
Why-
I mean,
why is
there's
the
an
language
overlap with this and Furiosa in many ways.
Yeah,
That's
yellow
not-
brick road, yellow dirt road.
I don't know. Like,
I don't know roads.
if we're just gonna go roads, I think
Yellow
like
dirt road.
a prequel that was already in the lead up to it getting skewered and sort of masked online for its visual palette and the way that it was sort of presenting. You know, people were seeing screen grabs of this much as they did with Furiosa and going, oh, this looks horrendous. Who lit this? Who color graded this?
Yeah.
I disagree with that assessment for Furiosa. I think a lot of those shots work in context and the movie looks good. I kind of agree with a lot of the assessments of Wicked.
No,
I think it's
this stunning.
Go on, you start.
Visually, I think one of the best things I've seen on screen in the last 5-10 years. I think
Let's-
it's stunning.
You talk about your experience watching it too. Where'd you go?
I went to the premiere of Melbourne.
Oh,
Doesn't matter. I went to a
regret
little
asking.
cinema. It was a packed house. It was a big crowd. It was people were on board. You know what I mean?
yeah. How many champagnes?
Me, 0.
Were-
Dry, baby. Dry.
Were people singing?
No.
Okay,
absolutely
thank
not.
fucking God.
I had one person behind me who you know, Marcus, and they were going, sing. And I was like, shut up without language. I was like, I was going to swear.
I wasn't going to confront them.
I didn't turn around.
But I shimmied my shoulders. And I hope they,
shush.
you know, when you ruffle your feathers
It's-
as a little threat to
I
someone.
was wearing feathers.
It's what I
That's
was
great.
sort of saying before. This is my least favorite aspect of the musical theatre world. I grew up in musical theatre. I've done it
We can tell.
a lot. Actually, that's offensive. Though.
So have I.
But it's offensive. Yeah,
Why?
but you
Offensive
are
to you.
musical theatre.
Yeah, and I'm proud of it.
Yeah, so
I don't think anyone
Puffed
meets
his
any
chest.
one of us and goes, oh, they must have done a trade at school. Like, I think all of us
Look
are
at
getting
my hands.
lumped into
They're so
the...
I mean,
delicate.
you are pretty sweaty, Tom.
Thank you very much. But that's under all these
He's done
spotlights.
it.
That was
Okay,
a visual
can
joke.
we-
That was I flourished in everything.
That was a visual joke.
I wasn't raised in musical theatre. Don't know what you're talking about.
It's not a part of the world that I love, and the people really turn me off it. Right, so that
Yes,
experience,
they can
I
be
would've
exhausting.
hated that.
But I feel that way about film culture. And
Yeah,
online spaces for film people and people that you meet and you start talking with movies about, you always have that like 50-50 where you're going to talk to someone who's going to be like, oh man, have you seen? And they'll like say 3 Tarantino movies and the latest Christopher Nolan movie. And you throw
Is
any...
this a self-assessment?
Yeah.
Or?
Oh, I mean, if you guys
Looking
are going
in a
to
mirror.
it's so funny to me whenever I bring up Phil Bro
you've
stuff,
coined
and
your own
because of
thing.
how I look, people are like, "You mean you?" And it's like,
No.
"That's fine.
It's not how
Let's
you look.
do it
it's
that
how
way."
you talk. You love Tarantino and you love Christopher Nolan.
Yes, but if you're going to pretend those are my like, "Oh, this is the definitive."
Oh, sorry.
thing
You
in
do like
cinema."
In Bruges. You're
And
like
you've
one
given
different
yourself a
film.
section called the Butler's Pantry. Like,
Okay, let's
I'm
quickly.
sorry I didn't like the most nuanced film of this year that wasn't for Film Bros.
No, it's all right.
Deadpool
It's all right.
Wolverine. Obviously, I feel really
Still mad
bad I
about
wasn't
it.
into that
Still
art
mad about
house
it.
film. Anyway, Frank, go on. You were
God,
talking
you're
about
such a-
musical theatre.
Sorry, we interject.
I think it's stunning. Let's go back to the set,
Go on.
the lighting, the color grading, all that stuff. I think Elphaba's makeup is incredible,
Agreed.
which is impossible to do, to make it look natural and real and not like makeup on a person's skin. It looks like it's almost digital,
Agreed.
but it is actually makeup. Fantastic. The 10 million tulips they planted and painted by hand in the field for the opening
I
scene.
think it was 9
Ev-
million.
Aye. It was 11 to win. That's why we rated it.
Imagine if it had been 11. Imagine. They did
But
play
like all the sets are built. They're all practical.
Yeah.
Almost everything is practical. All the flying is,
That's not at all true, but that's okay.
Okay, not
We'll
all
get
true.
into
But
it.
how much of it is actually practical when it could have just been entirely
A lot of the
digital?
interiors and a lot of the facades are practical, but then you see behind the scenes stuff and it's like everything that goes over, like 10, 12
Yes,
feet. It's
but-
like, and there's where the blue is and there's
A
where
lot
they
of it's
add
in
things.
camera.
They
So
use
give them some credit
some
for
of
that.
it's
What's
in
the
camera.
device they use now? What's that? It's that massive room.
CGI?
No.
Yeah.
Come on.
What's it called?
It's a
The tarp. No? The
No,
wall.
but it's the big room where you're basically living in.
They weren't in that.
See, to me, it felt like they were at times.
Like a
You don't think
soundstage,
No,
essentially.
what's the thing they used on
No, it's like a
Mandalorian?
really, yeah.
I don't know.
It's a famous
I know
thing
what
that
you guys
they're all
mean.
using
I don't know
now.
what it's called,
the
but
film,
it's like
bro.
a full. Yes, sorry, I was too
scene-
busy
the
rewatching
scene-
Tarantino. But it's like a full set that's just almost entirely like you can do whatever you want. You can manipulate and digitally
like the
alter
ground
the whole thing.
and this.
Yeah.
is
I
real
know
murder.
exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what a lot of this was. There's some of it. Frank's absolutely right that so much of the production design and so much of the effort that went into this was some very beautiful like architecture and some really inspired choices that I think got completely overshadowed by the CGI
But Tom, you know how much I hate-
drabness that was at display. I thought it was incredibly washed out. I thought it was a really, really like uninteresting movie to look at most of the time. I was largely like just I kept finding myself going, I don't want to be this guy who's like, well, the color grading and whatever. But I just kept being like, why isn't this more colorful?
It's normally
why isn't
me.
this Oz? Yeah. Why isn't this like fucking Technicolor? Why doesn't this pop the way that it should? And then occasionally it would, and I was like, oh my god, that looks incredible.
So you can have those moments.
So you can have
can't
those
all-
occasional moments, like
Yeah,
those.
I don't think the whole thing can be like, wow, this is vivid and this is stunning. because
that would
it'd
be too
overwhelming.
ambitious.
Okay.
All right, can I
don't have a
hang on?
point for
Hang
that.
on. Can we give specific examples here because we're being very vague.
Let's
for the
say
listener,
you
right?
walk into the Emerald City and everything's green and shiny and the costumes.
So when
are-
they're walking through the Emerald City,
Yep.
and you're seeing all the dance,
All the different
number
dance numbers, the
see,
different
that,
buildings.
to me looks incredible.
Yeah.
So to you,
when you go
Tom,
into the wizard's chamber and he's got the giant head that
Yeah,
comes
yeah.
out through
I like
the
the
rings,
head.
That's amazing.
That's
the little
practical.
mini
That looks
set
good.
he had, and then he
But
does this
then-
curtain dance, shadow dance behind the screen.
Yeah.
Dance is a strong
Okay,
word
so
for what
Jeff
he's
Goldblum's
doing.
not a dancer, but
It's
it's
a
a nice
movement piece.
It's a nice
Yeah.
moment.
But then you've got Elphaba on the broom, and you've got Emerald City from distance,
From the
or,
sky.
You know,
Yeah.
the sky. To me, obviously, very CGI and a bit washed. Right? Is that where you were feeling it most?
I
for
felt
example?
it a lot of the time. I felt walking through like only one short day. That's the song where they're going through the Emerald City. I felt a lot of it there. I felt a lot of it when we were just spending time at Shiz. You know, obviously
thought
some of the close up stuff. Look, I've already had a massive conversation with Loxley, who we went and saw this with at
Sure,
IMAX,
yeah.
and he's told me how wrong I am. And then he at one point on the street, 10 minutes after we left, yelled
Yeah.
at me, "Well, you have no taste." And I was like,
See,
I
I
mean,
don't know,
that may
Tom.
be true.
Yeah, that is true.
But I don't.
I hate CGI. I talk about this in almost every pod.
I don't
right?
hate CGI. I
love the
like good
practicality.
CGI.
and
This is mostly good CGI in terms of like they've given the artist time to create it. It looks believable. It looks real. Even the animals look pretty good for a movie that's not like a massive CGI undertaking. It's more about a musical and a recreation of the stage play. Which let's talk about the extension of the architecture that you see on stage, the steampunk aspect of it, and
Great.
they just extrapolated that and made it so like based from the Wizard of Oz and all this stuff. And I just think it's come together in such a beautiful way, and a way that everything that we think we would have seen on stage is what we see on this film. I think it's perfection. I think the design and everything they've created is outstanding.
Tom,
Beautiful.
my concern was, and I've mentioned this already, the IMAX screen. This is my first IMAX viewing, right?
Ever?
In Melbourne. Sorry. So I've lived here 10 years. I've never been to the IMAX in Melbourne. Like,
Okay.
I maybe when I was a kid and watched, some dinosaur.
Oh, the Antarctica.
I've never seen a movie, like a film.
Yeah.
In IMAX.
This was like your third movie at the cinemas. If I remember properly.
Good bit. I'll carry that. Don't even know how to yes and
What
that.
were the other two? Is the question.
One, the cinema was packed.
Mm.
So my general concern was, oh shit, everyone's going to start singing.
I was worried about that.
I was worried turning up
Who'd-
that people were going to be in costume. And I'm like, I can't. None of that happened. It was great.
Mhm.
3, it was packed cinema, which I hate. And we had dead center of the cinema, like center aisle, center of the row, packed in.
Well,
squashed
Tom
in.
booked
It's
this,
like-
8 months ago?
And
Yeah.
once you sit, you're not getting out. It's kind of the feeling.
Mhm.
And so we're boxing. I was like, fuck, this is going to go for 2 hours and 40. I'm going to have to piss at some point. thank God, didn't.
No.
It to me was very close and it was visually like so confronting. And then on top of all that, they're like, "Hey, free upgrade. You're in 3D now." And we're like, "What?" So 3D was a lot.
The one thing you said before we started, Frank, was you can't imagine what 3D would have added to this.
Yeah.
You're correct. It added nothing to
Yeah,
this.
absolutely.
Which
And
I'm not
also-
mad at the film
Also,
for that.
doesn't
That's
that
just,
usually take away from
it
the colour?
it's
and
less so
it's-
now, but it was definitely like when 3D was still becoming a thing.
When it was
10 or
those
so years
red and
ago,
blue glasses.
It used to dull in it a little. Like people would go see Avatar and be like, I'm sure this looks great when the colour's there and the lighting's there. It tends to be improved now, but I've seen screenshots of this since watching the movie. Most of the time I think it looks like it doesn't pop. It doesn't have the look that I would find more arresting.
I just think it'd be, if it was popping on every scene, you'd be like, this is fake. This doesn't look real, because the skin tones, it's like, you got to make it look natural, right?
No, it's Oz. Like, what are you talking about? It's a musical set in Oz. I don't give a fuck if it doesn't look real. I want it to look good. I
Jesus.
apologize. I got really big there, but just
What was that about?
because I think it's a crazy instinct that filmmakers have. We saw the fucking Mufasa trailer beforehand.
Yeah.
And I was like, why does this look like shit? Like, why doesn't this look like a magical, like, incredible fantasy
Africa's
world?
a real place.
Yeah, with the talking lions. It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine. I
Should
just
we-
think it's
Tom
really
is-
strange.
For the listener, Tom is beetroot red.
I got red there. I got a little red.
He's
I
been
look more
sweating.
colourful than anything in this
He's-
movie looked, but it's
He's
fine.
kind of mad.
Yeah, this is ridiculous.
I just think that
defensive, man.
of all the things that have happened in film of the last
He
like
doesn't
5 or
like
10
being
years,
opposed to it, I think.
the idea that there's going to be some like, we need to make this naturalistic and stripped down because people won't take it if it's too much. And I'm like, do too much. Do too much. That's so much more interesting to me. I just think this was kind of
I disagree.
Nah.
I'm going to disagree on
And
that
I
because
totally
I
get
think
that.
you've
I'm in
got
the
enough
minority. People love
fantastical
this
stuff. You've got enough that people go, whoa, I'm buying into this. I'm buying into the law of the world. I'm buying into
All right,
why is she
well-
the only green person in the entire thing? Because the wizard had sex with this woman and drank a green elixir?
spoilers, by the way.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, we've been very focused on. I'm gonna railroad this. We've
Yeah,
been very.
railroad.
We wouldn't need to
Hold on.
worry about this being spoilers if the movie was just as it should be, one movie,
No,
by the way.
disagree.
But we will get
No,
into
We'll
that.
talk about it. So let's move away from the visuals for a second because we're going to be talking about this for too long.
We could do
What
2 hours
about
and 40 minutes.
In terms of narrative, in terms of performance, in terms of singing, it's a musical. Tom.
Before we
There's a lot
start,
of moving.
that for the listener, how many times have you seen Wicked on stage, Marcus?
Was there any reason you saw it?
2. No, sorry, 2. Because I was going to come and watch you do it, Frank.
Ah.
That's what he wanted to talk about.
No, but I know the show very well. I played, doesn't
Humble
matter.
brag. Go on.
I know
No,
the
no.
script.
You now must say who you played.
No.
Yeah, go. Who'd
Don't
you
want
play,
to.
Frank?
Fiero.
Was he the doctor? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all right.
So, and Tom had never seen it ever, didn't know what he was going into, right?
No, had no
New
idea.
defying gravity. Let me take that again. You knew defying gravity
Kinda.
from Glee, and then
Which is this movie's equivalent of Let It Go.
But it was
Frozen,
a
right?
similar
but it's a
thing
good song.
where I'd
it's maybe the
heard-
greatest musical.
But no. But it's a good song.
It's maybe the greatest musical theatre song ever written. I just want to say that.
I don't.
In the last 20 years, maybe, except for all of Book of Mormon, and that's about it.
Okay. It's not to my taste.
So good. The
in
build,
the
build
sense-
and the payoff.
I shouldn't say as in I don't like it. I do like it.
Yeah, of course you do.
I have so many issues with this movie that stem from finding out. One of the most shocking things I found out reading about it over the last couple of days was, this was like not savaged, but this was polarizing on Broadway. I just kind of very naively was like, people loved this, right? Everyone loved it. Critics loved it. Audiences loved it. No. People came away from this being like, kind of generic songwriting, kind of average music, like very heavy-handed. And then it was just the second most successful Broadway show of all time. Like it has made so much money stupidly away. So it's a little bit of a Cats, which I didn't realize. Like it kind of has a legacy.
God.
I knew that was going to make you angry, but it's hard not to make the comparison that it's got a legacy off the back of culture and audience.
Yes.
But it's not.
But it's
I
not-
wouldn't say
It's not a Stephen Sondheim where it's like
No.
all intricate lyrics and fucking chromatic fucking
But I was just
melodies.
like, well, I'm going to hear 10 songs that I'm going to be like, immediately they're in the canon. And I don't really know about most of the music in this. I didn't think it was particularly.
yeah, I think it's
Good.
I think it's simple, but it's affecting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
like what musical theatre should be, because most people don't go, wow, that's so intricate. I love the way that steps down and the harmonies are crossing over there. Most people don't care about that stuff. They want pop punk on stage. Dear Evan Hansen, why is it great? Hamilton, pretty simple. all of this stuff.
I would
sorry,
disagree
shouldn't
with
say
that on
simple.
Hamilton. I don't think Hamilton is.
But melodically simple. Andrew Lloyd Webber, melodically pretty simple.
I agree with
These
that.
I'm
things
opting
that
out
sell
of this
and
conversation.
sell and
If we're talking about Sondheim, who's like discordant to like arrest you and make you go, "What the fuck was that?" Like I've never heard anything like that as well.
Awful. Why?
But-
Stop making sounds like that.
It's weird that this has turned into a musical theatre thing. I think that I wasn't prepared for so much of the music in this to sound like sort of AOR, like 90s radio rock. Like I didn't realize it was going to kind of be like very,
What's
very
AOR?
like adult-oriented rock. Like just kind of like, oh, this is not as theatrical as I was expecting, despite the fact that
It's what, like
Defying
Breakfast
Gravity.
at Tiffany's on repeat.
Excuse me?
And I said, what about?
Oh, not the movie.
No,
I'm like,
get
I
with the
think.
program, AOR.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, wow.
You're the one talking about 90s rock here, man. You can't even quote.
Pearl Jam. I think Eddie Vedder wanted to be in this.
Was that? Who sings that?
Not
Breakfast at
Pearl
Tiffany's.
Jam.
Who sings it?
Deep Blue something.
Okay.
It is deep.
Well,
It's deep something.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about Let's talk about performance. No.
sorry.
cut the mic. Let's talk about performance.
Okay. Elphaba was incredible.
Cynthia Erivo
Yep.
is the greatest singer on the planet.
See, okay, I don't know if I can agree with that. I think she was really incredible.
Mhm.
But I didn't walk away from that going, she's the greatest singer I've ever encountered in my life ever. Wow. I just went, she nailed that.
It's better than anyone has ever sung that. Ever.
That I've heard, yes.
I know, I've heard.
No, I
all
agree
of
with
them.
that. But sorry, let's go back to what you just said.
Greatest singer on the planet.
I mean, I think that's a stretch.
I have something to say on this.
Okay.
I think Cynthia Erivo is the greatest singer I've ever heard in my life. Wow.
Yes.
That is actually how I feel.
Yes.
You can't really. I love her
It is
so much.
undeniable.
Every
This is
time
good.
Also, she was singing, I was like, well, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
I've got goosebumps right now thinking about
She
her
doesn't
singing.
sing enough in the fucking musical
No,
movie.
that's a good point. That is actually a good point.
It's so annoying.
She's a young Whoopi Goldberg.
What?
Can you not see that?
I
I couldn't
can
unsee
a
it
little.
from the.
In terms of what,
she
the
also
gap
played.
tooth and
She
the
was
funny?
also in. No,
How?
I think she's got a striking resemblance. In
Whoopi
her
can
facial
sing,
structure.
but Sister Act's okay.
Like
I'm not talking
Whoopi.
about her. I think in terms of vocal delivery, in terms of tone,
yeah,
in terms of the dryness in her humor,
yeah, I can
I
see
think
that.
it's all there. And to me, I couldn't unsee that. Also, was she not in The Color Purple?
Yes,
Okay, well,
On stage, but not
on
the
stage,
movie.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yes. But she played Nettie or Celie?
Nettie. I don't know
wanna
the
say
character's
Nettie.
name.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm here, and it's like,
Well, this is what happened when Mother and Loxley and I finished watching this movie on the weekend, and Marcus was there. And by the way, you can get me back for those tickets anytime. We went back home after
much
that.
were they?
Sorry, I think it was like $70, $80. Anytime.
I think it's a night after the
we
theater
were-
is $200. isn't it?
We went, yeah, actually, that's right. That's fucking inflation. You have no idea. But anyway,
No, I need to know. What the fuck? That's entrapment.
So
I love you.
it's double jeopardy.
We went home, Loxley, Mum, and I, and we put on videos of Cynthia Erivo singing. And
Oh,
we
yeah.
went, I'm Still Here, and we did I'm Here. I thought, sorry. And I Can Do Better Than That, which you and I have
Last
talked about.
5 years, yes.
And as we're watching it, I was like, I'm having a better time now than I was at Wicked. And I don't think it's a mark of a good movie for me personally, my own taste, when I'm like, I would rather watch Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande sing show tunes nonstop than watch this movie. I think that would be far more entertaining.
So-
And I don't think that's
But
a good mark.
Depends on the show tune because you're picking two fantastic songs.
I would almost just say just them singing most of the score of Wicked.
Yeah,
I
but
would be
then
like,
you-
great, put that on. I don't need any of the rest of this, which I found turgid and really overwrought and very much not to my liking. But this is such a boring opinion. I didn't like this movie. Most people do, right?
You
But I
don't
didn't like
But you
it.
don't like the story. You don't like what? You don't care for Fiero, Bach, Dr. Dillermond. I didn't like Michelle Yeoh. I'll
Bach?
just say that.
No.
I think, why?
Neither
like
did I.
because
Or-
I was going to say everyone they've
can't
cast.
sing.
This is the problem. Everyone they've cast is a name. Ariana's so famous. It's ridiculous. But Cynthia's
she backed it though,
famous in these circles. Jonathan Bailey is from Bridgerton, and that's kind of it. Like he's a Broadway kid growing up,
Yeah.
or West End, whatever.
Yeah.
But he's definitely young enough to be at university. That's the main thing about his character.
People can study mature age.
I
He's
know.
a winky
Whatever.
prince. He's
I'm
going around
sorry,
drinking and getting kicked out of school.
Once he showed up, I was like, well, the plot must be that he's going to come and be like, hello, I'm doing an opening ceremony here, and thank you so much for teaching us. And then he's like, I'm a student. And I'm like,
So that's a detail
no,
in this fantastical world.
Yep, that
he's
one
too
I
old
want.
for
That they should have
university.
used CGI there.
But Tom, you're criticizing
de-aging tech. That's where the budget.
Tom,
should have
you're
gone.
criticizing years of film and musical theatres doing this.
Absolutely.
Let's look at Greece for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
They're all 50.
Let's go
honestly.
watch Grease right now. Honestly, what are we doing?
World's worst
So
musical.
Michelle can't sing, and she and in terms of the character development and stuff, it was a bit one note for me. I wasn't super into it.
Yep.
Goldblum, Blum he can't sing either. Turns out, I mean, there's something there, but it was.
It's not a strong voice. I think he understands where he's meant to be. I liked Goldblum. I didn't love Michelle.
You've got
Peter-
Ethan Slater as Bob.
Ethan Slater as Bob.
It's weird. It's probably the only 5-dimensional character I've ever seen in a film. It was almost just too many aspects to him that I was just like, well, God,
Well, he's basically-
I'm glad I'm learning so much about this instrumental character to the film.
He's a sponge.
Wow,
He's
be more
SpongeBob.
sarcastic.
Can I?
You're quivering.
I-
You're so mad.
You missed
His
my-
lips are actually quivering. He's so mad.
I'm thinking of yes.
You
go
missed my SpongeBob reference, which
on.
no
He's
one
a
will
sponge and he's like having an affair with Ariana. As
No,
well.
and he's SpongeBob on Broadway. That's
Yes.
what he's known from. And yes, he's now with Ariana.
They
Let's
may
not-
have had an
that
affair.
Let's not
whole,
talk
that whole
about it.
Who
thing's
knows if we're
really
gonna get
icky,
into
and
this.
I didn't love him. He was fine.
I think it's a weird character. It's always hard because it's like, why are you in? Like, you're not. Are you in love with Nessa or Nessa?
Well, he's
I've got
just a
something to
dick.
confess her.
He's a dick.
Would we say dick?
A little bit.
He's playing the game. He's trying to get to Glinda. He's doing what
By-
she wants. Yeah, not great. Obviously, not a
pretty
good
awful
person.
stuff.
But who is a good person except for Elphaba?
I agree
Elphaba.
with you. Most of these characters are horrible, and I didn't like spending time with them. I think you're absolutely right to make that point, Frank.
All right, should we? No
Well,
one said.
that
Should we talk
I'd
about?
agree with.
Because
I don't think
Thomas,
they're
you
horrible.
love Bowen Yang.
I do love Bowen Yang.
Did you hate him in this?
Is he in this?
Oh God,
Was Bowen Yang in this movie?
he made you chuckle. at
Okay,
least.
I'm sorry.
I can't wait for Tom to throw in the powell on this. It sounds like he's really going
He's really open-minded. Yeah. So Ariana Grande, what if Ariana Grande in the role that she like was born to play? She's very passionate about this entire project.
Yeah.
What do we think?
I think she was amazing. However,
Go.
we are talking Ariana. Did I hear that right?
Grande.
Okay, good. Yeah, Grande. She was. I know she hasn't had work done. Just stay with me on this.
Mhm.
But to the point where I was like, you're almost so expressionless in this film for the majority of it. To me,
Mhm.
she didn't blink once. By the way, I don't know if you want to go back and watch.
That's
but-
good film craft.
there wasn't a lot there, like in terms of her delivery, like vocally, whatever. She was great, right?
Vocally, whatever.
I didn't get a
Incredible.
lot out of her,
Really?
and I kept thinking about it. So it was like it was noticeable to me that there was something weird going on. I was like, your face isn't moving much. Like you've got this wide-eyed stare.
But did you like her
the entire-
physicality?
Physicality was
physical
very
comedy?
fun, and her
Yep.
her comic timing is so good,
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
And her impression work is excellent. She's a great performer. There was just something really off about this performance in particular for me,
Mm-hmm.
where I was like, it's almost like she's had work done where her face just isn't doing anything this whole film to me. That was my take. And saying that, I loved her in this film. So
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting say
So-
because you sort of look back and you go, yeah, maybe she didn't pull any faces. And
It-
I don't
it's a
really,
really
care
weird
because
point
I
that
still
I've
loved
made,
her. I
I'm
thought she was
sure.
incredible.
Okay.
And it's so nice to hear her sing normally or open, full
Yeah.
voice, whatever, soprano. Like,
You're not a fan of her music.
this is the part where I say I don't want it.
He's strumming a
Stronger
fake guitar to
than I
to an EDM song.
That one.
It's a really small guitar.
It's a high. It's a
He's
ukulele.
holding his DJ decks up here.
I love that song. Is what I'm
I
saying.
like that song. I like a lot of Ariana's music. I've been a big fan of hers for a long time. I thought she was pretty good in this. I
So-
wish I liked her more in this. I'm with Marcus a little to the degree that I found the character quite funny, but not particularly adventurous.
Mhm.
Almost every laugh she got, no one got a better response at our screening than Ariana. Like, did you feel maybe 25 minutes in a bit of a, I don't know if this is working? And then once it got to more of Ariana, it's like, this is working. Like
Yes,
for
yes,
other
yes.
people,
No, I
everyone was
agree.
laughing. But
The
the first
opening
25,
scene
it's
with her
like,
and Munchkinland.
I don't know if this
Well,
is.
it's such in the
People
structure of the
seem
show. Like the
confused.
intro song is, the most intricate musically. You're like, oh god, the wickedest witch there ever was.
No one mourns the wicked. Is that what
Yeah.
it's called? Yeah.
And it's like, and then Glinda comes in her bubble and she's doing all the soprano stuff. You're like, where are we going? And then you do the flashback of Elphaba's childhood, which is fleshed out from the musical and is so heartbreaking. I found that so terribly sad when her father's like, take it away, and the bear nurse raises her. I was like choking up from 3
Who
minutes in.
voiced the bear? Anyone we know?
Wasn't it Hulk Hogan?
Come on.
I know he was in this
Come on,
somewhere.
Are you
no.
serious? Okay.
No. I don't know. I didn't find myself too engaged with that
This-
stuff, but I understand that.
Jenna Boyd was the wolf doctor. Oh no,
Sure.
Sharon D. Clark was Dulcie Bear. You're
Oh,
gonna
okay.
assume that's her.
No. So, Tom,
Yeah.
the film opened, and it opens with the flying monkeys in this big CGI landscape and the mountains and you see the yellow brick road and you see Dorothy and everyone making their way away from
Yes.
killing.
I mean, the first thing we see is the shot of the hat, right?
Yeah,
and
and
the
all-
water.
yeah, we do.
And we hear like she's had water spilled on her or
See,
whatever.
I
but you're
thought that was a
absolutely-
really nice shot. I
I
like the
thought
shot of
I
the
was
hat
like,
and the
this
puddle,
is something.
right?
I was not immediately like, oh, here
But
we
then
go.
it
Like, I
pulls
was like,
away
okay,
from
this
that
is cool.
and it follows the flight path of these flying monkeys through the cliffs and all that sort of stuff. I hated it so much because I immediately rolled my eyes and went, "Fuck, this whole thing is bad CGI." Which, to more Tom's point,
Oh, yeah.
and I was like, if the whole film's like this, I'm gonna hate it so much. To me, it didn't continue looking as bad as that opening scene.
I think you're probably right. I think for the most part, the opening got off onto a bad foot. And then when I saw the tulips, I didn't have this like entire cogent thought of like, that might be real, but it might not be, but maybe it's been gussied up with CGI or whatever. I just kind of saw it. And because it was so close in proximity to what we'd already seen, I was like, that's probably CGI. So then when I found out
Yeah,
it
sure.
wasn't, I'm like, well, that feels like a waste because I figured it might as well be. Right? It
That's a
didn't.
good point.
It didn't make me go. I went, yeah. Well, I've already.
But then
seen
it
what
goes
you've
it goes
done.
to Munchkinland, and then you see all the sets, the practical sets and stuff.
Some
and
of
I
the
was
stuff
like,
there was cool.
"Oh, okay, this is better.
I agree. I
And,
like
and
this.
I think that's when I first noticed the vocals are live. The ensemble,
and
actually
it felt like
that ensemble on set aren't the ones singing, but the leads are.
See, I
singing
kind of wish you
live.
didn't tell me that.
Well, I
'Cause
just-
to me, like, it kind of makes sense, but like,
It would be
to
so
me,
hard. But
Of course it would.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like,
But it made me feel better because the sound is so good.
so.
I think the sound is good in the movie.
I think the sound mixing and the Foley artist and the entire mix together is perfection because you can hear everything. The mix of the orchestra with the vocals on top, clear as day, which they've recorded on set,
Mm.
and it still sounds like that.
Mm.
And you've got Foley artists of like the broom picking up and the door closing and all this stuff that still folds in exactly at the right level, and everything feels natural and yet like it could be in a studio produced album.
Yeah.
I was just tripping out because it's like Les Mis did it live, right? They did live vocals, and it's so bad. So bad. Terrible singers, bad rhythm, nothing sounds right, and the rhythm is set by that pianist accompaniment they had in their earphones or whatever. Whereas this is set with, they have the track, so the bits that are con voce are whatever, and then the track comes in and they're singing to the pre-recorded orchestra track. So they already have the rhythm set, everyone's in sync, and they...
the color voce.
Yeah. What color is it?
Sorry, could you explain that term?
It's led by the voice.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, so like the tempo is set by the singer.
Okay, interesting.
Nice one.
Had never heard that term before. Thanks for explaining it to us.
I think I've said it to you before. Because the tempo is
You're
always
really
set
color
by-
voce today, Tom.
You
Really,
do.
maybe consider a little more sotto voce. All right.
Yeah, son of a bitch.
Can I tell you? Can I tell you a moment in the film that I like audibly groaned, and it was like, I'm out of this. Like I couldn't not enjoy.
You're
this
back.
at
You're
all.
flopping and flopping.
I'm flopping everywhere, but I gave this a 9.
You gave it an 8, but it also a
Yeah,
9.
it sounds like
we
you've
don't really
left
know.
a lot of
8 to 9,
wiggle
I said
room.
8 to 9. Hey.
So sue me.
7. Wait, when you
Ugh,
groaned, when did you groan?
gross saying
When did you
that.
groan?
Idina Menzel and Kristen. Is it
Kristen
Chenoweth?
Chenoweth. Yeah.
When they popped out into the scene, I went, ugh. Now, I spoke to Flick about this on the drive home from it, and she goes, well, got to pay homage to them. Like,
No.
Hang on, hold on.
Sorry.
She said they are wicked. And
I'm so
I know you
glad
don't
Frank's
like
going to
Idina
have one of
Menzel.
these moments
Yeah,
now
no,
as
it's
well.
good. I
Go,
know
Frank.
you don't like Idina Menzel. I just didn't think they needed to be in this.
So
At all.
they've written.
Here we go. Frank just cracked his knuckles.
I don't have much to say, but I hated. It would have been an 11 if that wasn't in there. It's an 11 for
Now,
me.
hang on, no, Flick has not seen it yet. I just told her when they.
Well,
popped
don't
up.
listen to this. They've written.
Was that what you were to Marcus? Like, no spoilers.
I'm just, in case you're about to go swinging at my wife.
No. Why would I?
I don't know, but she said it. So.
She's allowed to respect
sorry,
the people who. Okay, so they've written a new piece in the middle of One Short Day. Idina and Kristen come out and sing this stupid song about how the wizard can read the grimoire, and it's like, we already know this in terms of like the lore of the film. And then she does the fucking and it's like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
you are the world's worst singer, and why are you here? It's Cynthia and Ariana's film. They don't need to be like, oh, here's the original Elphaba and Glinda. They suck, and they look like shit, and they sound like shit. And sorry, Kristen Chenoweth, you're amazing, but Idina Menzel can die. I just think she is the worst part, and she's such a diva, and she thinks she's incredible, and she's a total mole. Allegedly, I hate all this stuff. I can't stand her, and I can't stand the fact. I'm sorry, Thomas. I probably shouldn't have said she would die, but I don't really.
No,
care.
it's fine.
I'm so upset. I just think
flabbergasted.
It ruined the entire concept of what we're looking at because every person goes, well, who are they? Why are they here? And why is it a special occasion? Just and the song was bad. And
so, just to summarize, you agree
that they shouldn't have been in? Yes.
With everything you've just said, which I think is largely valid because cameos and just fan service,
cheap cameo,
fan service stuff like that is very
cheap.
frustrating, right? And I'm the one who didn't like this movie, so it feels very weird to come to its defense in this way. But that scene, where Kristen and Idina came out and they do the whole song and dance and they trade off like the light from the scepters and they explain the grammar, like you say, we already know. Yeah, I know. It was like, but it's like, how else are we going to put out the runtime if we don't have this in here? Like, we've got to have those things. We've got to have that. Otherwise, what else are we going to do? Not make it to 2 hours and 45 minutes? Like, we've got to have this in the movie, right? If you're going to cut that, you could cut 50% of the rest.
No, because that's not in the stage show. That's not. They've added that in.
So much of this is clearly not in the stage show. The original stage show is 2 hours and 45 minutes. This movie is 2 hours and 45 minutes.
The script is barely changed, Thomas. They give things more weight and more length. This is an entire new song.
I just think it's ridiculous that we're going like, well, that didn't need to be in, but everything else needed to be in. Like, so much of this movie, you could feel it stretching and just like swelling in a really uncomfortable, mawkish way.
Do you know what's uncomfortable right now?
You.
Thomas is he's just shit canning it again, and he's not going to change his opinion. So why are we even talking about it? You're going to hate it. Why didn't Stephen Schwartz is the cameo. He goes, the wizard will see you now. And that's Stephen Schwartz who wrote the music. That's great. That's a great cameo because that's for people who know. Whereas these are just for, they go, well, they're characters. Who are they? If you don't know the show, then you don't know who they are. It's a pointless just ego boost for those two.
I didn't know that. So there
you go. There's a nice, because that's fun. You go, oh, that's the guy who wrote it. And he's got a line in the thing. Great. Fucking hell, Thomas. What about Peter Dinklage? Do we like Peter Dinklage?
I want to say that when you say,
sure,
what's even the point of all this? I think this is the point, right? Like, this is
I'm tired. I'm tired of you.
I think you're angry at Idina Menzel and I just happen to be here.
I am.
Hey, listener, I hope you're enjoying this epic. Could be our last.
I spent an hour this morning getting clips to put in here to go, listen to how bad she is. And then I went, I'm not going to do that because that'd be rude.
I'm just going
I would just say that she should die.
Instead.
At least I didn't embarrass her, honestly. Because Cynthia's vocal, can we just talk about something good? Cynthia's vocal is so effortless and powerful and clear, and Idina is barking. Even on the album Broadway recording, she's barking it out because she can't get there.
And do you know, because I've never fully understood what you're saying when it comes to Idina Menzel. I know how passionate you are about her.
Oh, I need to calm down.
In terms of technique, I'm not the best judge of character.
You can tell, though.
Well, I can tell, but this film it beautifully highlighted actually how not great she is because you hear the comparison, what it can be, and you go, oh shit.
I've never heard Idina's recording of it, but I know that it's I mean, she won a Tony. I'm not saying that means it's, the standard or
So
anything.
did Daveed Diggs.
I'm aware of this, and you don't like Daveed
But I think,
Diggs.
what you can say is she's laid the foundations for others to perfect on because she's just put it out there and others have gone.
She was cast because she was famous. She was like a Broadway it girl.
Yeah.
That's it. It's like, oh, you're the belter. Dumb. Cast someone new.
Yeah. Anyway, it was a bad moment in the film.
I
Did
100%
not
agree
like
with you. I don't think
Yeah.
it belonged in there.
No.
I think
It was
there
really
are
jarring and also really uncomfortable to watch. Obviously, a close up of Ariana and I keep forgetting.
Kristen
her name.
Chenoweth.
No.
Cynthia Erivo.
Cynthia. Oh my god. Both of them having to smile and look up at them and look at each other and look back and go, "This is great."
But the weird thing
It was
is
horrible.
like Ariana Grande and like adores Kristen Chenoweth because Kristen Chenoweth is the soprano, is the Broadway girl. She's so
I get that.
that actually makes sense because
Yeah.
it's
Doesn't
like
mean it was
they're
needed.
both exceptional.
You're saying that, like, in a perfect world, Kristen could have been in it, but you never would have been happy with Idina Menzel. But it's
Never.
like, how do you do that?
You can't do one not the other.
That would
yeah.
be weird.
Yep.
Yeah, but Kristen Chenoweth is
Now,
an
on
icon.
to Peter Dinklage.
yeah,
Can sing.
yeah. I mean,
Really? No, a character singer.
Yeah.
But a really nice voice.
I mean, he's got the most beautiful voice.
I just
Speaking-
heard it and I went, that. I looked at Loxley next to me and went, that was really good. He's
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
nice.
I'm very happy to see that happening. And it's like these are the castings that matter because like you look at Les Mis, problem casting. Amanda Seyfried, Eddie Redmayne, these people that can't sing.
so that's
Amanda's
interesting.
all right.
Yeah.
If we're going to
No,
pick
no, no.
someone in that cast out of like the celebrity casting, surely you got to put Amanda at the
Well,
top.
here's
of
my
that
hot
list.
take.
Which I'm not saying she's great, but she's okay.
If it wasn't Ariana, I would have put Amanda Seyfried.
She was up for it for
No.
a while. There was a while
there
where
you
it
go.
was going to be Amanda.
Well, who?
and
Okay, if it wasn't
some-
Ariana, who would you have put?
Someone from Broadway. Carrie St. Louis.
For a seat filling movie role.
Yeah, the trouble
Here's
is you
the thing.
can't do that.
I know you can't do that. And thank God we have Ariana.
So
who's
put your
someone who's
producer hat on for a sec. Who would you have put in it?
actually- Ariana Grande. There's no one else.
Gun to head. You can't have Ariana Grande.
I don't know who.
Play
Like,
the game.
you got to audition someone. It has to be a
Okay,
proper
so,
soprano.
what you're saying is anyone but Amanda Seyfried.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because she can't do it. She can't do it right. And it's like if you have someone like Cynthia, you
Yep.
can't have Amanda Seyfried being like.
So did we
next to
like
her.
Fierro?
Yes, Jonathan Bailey is
I
fantastic.
think his charisma on screen it was
I
incredible.
it's a pretty crap character. Really, there's not a lot to it, but he's charming as hell, and you go, wow, you're fantastic. And I don't know, I like him in the press tour. He's really like respectful, and he's like, yeah, well, it's the girl's film, and he's just
good for
cool dude.
He's doing the Ken.
He's got a good PR manager.
Yeah, well, he's well trained. He says the right thing. I don't know, I think he actually is like a really humble
Yeah,
kind of person. He grew up on stage, like he knows he's been dancing and singing his whole life. Yeah, loved him. Fantastic.
Okay.
Beautiful. I didn't, but that's okay.
Why not?
I wasn't a big fan of his song. I
Dancing
didn't
Through
think-
Life.
Yeah, I didn't like that song very much. I didn't like the staging of it. I didn't
That was
really.
my
Even
most-
what about the Corey with
It was pretty tight. Actually, the choreo on the whole is so good.
Very good.
Just joyful to watch.
Very good.
Dancing Through Life was lackluster for me. I felt underwhelmed because he's doing these like slippy slides on the books and stuff. I was like, do more. This is like the dancing song. And then we go to the Oz Does
It's like,
Ballroom.
he didn't do what I did.
He did a lot better than me. Wow, so much better. It's not even a conversation. I wanted more from that scene though. I liked the spinning bookshelf, but I wanted it to then progress to somewhere larger and do more. I will say I did love the size of the ensemble. Pretty small. It could have been stretched out with CGI and stuff, but that ballroom scene, it's just like 20 of them in a circle.
Sure.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Okay. Tom, why didn't you like Dancing Through Life? Sorry.
I would say the same reason I didn't like a majority of the musical numbers, and it's because I think John M. Chu, who directed this, and I honestly couldn't tell you the editor, unfortunately, but I know Alice Brooks was the cinematographer who has lit other films, did In the Heights, and I haven't seen that movie, but has a quite sunny and sort of a vibrant look to it that I think is a lot better than this movie, but again, I haven't actually seen it. I do think the editing in this film lets it down quite a bit. I think that there is a tendency by action directors and musical directors to say that editing and kinetic sort of like landing on the beat with your cuts is what drives propulsion. And that's not what drives propulsion. It's when you let us see the choreography. It's when you let us see everyone moving in the frame. And every time he let that happen for longer than 5 seconds, I sat the fuck up.
Yes.
And I was like, yes, do this more. It
Because
happened
you realize the choreo
It
is
happened
so
like
good.
6 times.
Yeah.
There's one scene at the end or shot at the end of What Is This Feeling? where Ariana's coming out of the hall with her book and she's dancing,
Dun, dun,
and it
dun,
slowly goes in on her. And I was just like, this is incredible. This is incredible. Why isn't this more of the movie?
Yeah.
And at the end of Popular, when she's in the pink room that is lit gorgeously the hallway, and she dances down the hallway in one unbroken shot to Popular.
Yep.
I don't understand why that's not the movie.
It's like the weird thing is they honor the stage show so well, but the one thing I don't think when you're shooting a musical on stage, it's like, yeah, show us why does the choreography look great? It's because people are dancing in unison, or there's like parts that go together, or like that's what choreography is, right? And it's when it's like a fight scene that's cut too close together, you don't actually know where you are or what's happening or what the dance move should look like. So when you have these wide scenes and then you let it breathe, stunning.
Absolutely.
And it's the start of Good News, The Wicked Witch is Dead at the start.
I think it has that a couple of times.
It's pretty like
even just some overhead crane shots that go in over the dancers, over the burning effigy.
you see
I
the
was like,
scale
this
of
is
That
some
was
cool
the most
stuff.
important
burning
part of that
effigies.
opening scene was when it does zoom out and you see the practical sets,
Yes.
you see the full dance, you're
Yeah.
seeing it all. It felt like a musical.
That's amazing.
But
Yeah, and I think
Polished,
Dancing Through Life
tidy looking musical.
was a little tight, and like you're seeing intricate foot moves, and it's like, but they're not very good moves. Like it just felt a little lackluster.
Even everything on the bookcases, which you can see how they're set up, and you're like, this could look interesting. And almost every time someone started doing something impressive, it cut to another shot and another
or it
angle. And I'm like,
span with them. Like
Yeah.
you're like, oh, but get us disorientated. Like
his legs when they were through and he was kind of
yeah.
spinning. I was like, I like the way he looks there. I would love more of this. I would
Yeah.
love to see more of actually them
Yeah.
doing it because, like you say, the spectacle on stage. I kept just thinking, fuck, I bet I would have loved this on
How do those
stage.
books stay in that thing? You see when they're removing one book and you're like, well, all the books have to
I'm going to
come
look up
out.
how to explain magic to
Yeah.
Marcus.
Now, good question. Thank you for bringing that up, Tom. This world's got a big element of magic to it, right?
oh
Yeah.
yes,
Where is that?
Yeah.
Like, where
In
is
the air
where's
tonight.
all the magic? Look, I'm a bit confused. Okay,
There's-
so to me, and I think that if you search the internet deep enough, obviously,
What are you
Wizard
gonna
of Oz-
find?
Yeah, I don't
the
know.
Wizard of Oz, of
Wizard of Shiz. No,
Wizard
what's
of
it called?
Eckies is problematic at best, right?
Uh-huh.
It was a cursed set.
Oh, you mean where people
the original movie.
where the Munchkin
The original
died
movie,
and-
yeah.
and the
It's
guy.
like-
asbestos poisoning.
yeah,
yeah.
The paint, the lead.
And then if you look at the
paint or
So
story,
whatever.
Judy Garland's just on speed.
Yes,
entire
the whole
time?
time. They were
Yeah.
just pumping it full of drugs.
between
Yeah.
the two,
Great
it's
movie.
full of plot holes. Like nothing really makes sense. And what are the rules, right? So you've got a wizard who can't read this magic book.
Mhm.
We don't know really the origins of the magic book. It just is.
It's the Grimoire. It just
The
Folds
Grimoire,
into
yep.
quarters.
He just has it. He just built up this big steampunk city
Yeah.
because he's, I guess, the greatest inventor ever. We've got witches that can do magic and witches that can't do magic or are learning to do magic. Then you've just got plain old people who are just at a school of magic not doing magic.
well, it's not a school of magic. There's
What
just
is
a
it?
magic course, and it's like if you have the skill, like Elphaba has. She's a witch. She's got the skill, right?
So what is,
she can do
what
it.
is the school? Is it just a school?
just a
Hogwarts,
school.
but less fun. Right?
Yeah, it's
No,
where
Hogwarts
they
without
don't do,
magic,
where they
right?
don't actually do the one thing
And
that
then we-
Hogwarts is
yeah,
known for.
Then
Yeah,
we have talking animals.
Yeah.
And then but then they're getting taken
because
out.
of
How-
fascism.
How I understand it is
Yeah.
fascism is destroying magic. That's what I get. No, I think the magic has been lost. I think the wizard came to Oz whenever, and he's just a guy from Kansas, as we know from the James Franco film.
Ooh, I forgot
He's an
about
inventor.
that.
He
Actually forgot about
doesn't.
that.
He doesn't know magic. So all of this is a lie. Michelle Yeoh knows a bit of magic, but not much because it's a lost art form, right? So Elphaba comes along and they're like, "Oh my gosh,
A little bit, but she can change the weather.
yeah, but like barely move a few clouds.
Yeah,
That's nothing. It's
Just-
chump change.
make sure-
that's small time, see?
to make sure that Elphaba doesn't get wet, which is a plot point. Which
Yeah, she
if I-
cries a lot.
and
I
if
think
I
it's
was
a
more into
joke.
the
I
movie,
don't
I,
think it's
wouldn't
real.
think about what do you mean.
It's just like a little tidbit because I don't think she actually dies from Dorothy throwing water on her. I think that's a ploy.
That's interesting.
It's all based on the marketing of Elphaba. She's a wicked witch. She killed her with water, but she doesn't
but she
actually
doesn't
die.
actually die, and that's going to.
So that's just a joke. You can't get wet, my dear.
Okay,
Wizard of Oz
interesting.
joke.
And how Galinda's name became Glinda because of
Yeah.
a goat.
It's great.
I think.
The guy is
Do we want to
silent.
get a little bit into just the butler's pantry because I want to talk about the adaptation process? Yep.
That's what that is.
You normally before I say it though,
Yeah.
but he just decided to give me the prompt as I was.
Can you
I didn't
applaud
do-
him after he's finished?
I'm not going to applaud him for anything.
In a pantry with a mic,
Wicked version.
the butler's pantry.
Ooh.
what is this feeling? Don't even remember any of the tune. I really liked The Wizard and I, actually. That was kind of...
Wizard and I is the second one.
Once she
Maybe the
started
best.
singing, because it's the first Cynthia singing, and I was like, oh my God, yes, here we are. Anyway,
It's magical.
this came out in 2003 on Broadway, right?
Oh, yeah.
Long production process. It was based on a book that was written in 95. And so it was like 8 years getting from book to adaptation to the stage. And then is one of the longest running Broadway musicals, second like most lucrative Broadway musical of all time. It's insane, the cultural footprint this has. I will admit, as someone who enjoys musicals but often knows more about them when they get adapted for movies. You know, I've never been to Broadway. I don't often get along to see musicals. I didn't know how big a deal this was probably until 2 weeks ago, where I was like, oh shit, this isn't like a top 20, top 15 musical. This is number 2 of all time.
Wait, sorry, what's number 1?
The Lion King.
Oh,
And then
just
under that,
money.
it's Phantom of the
Yeah,
Opera.
right,
In terms of money, commercial, like viability. So I do think that one of the weirdest things that happens is in adapting this musical, and there's this thing you get with Dear Evan Hansen, where people say that's an incredible musical, like it's so fantastic, like it was so heartfelt and such a tricky but poignant story. And then when it's about to be adapted, the rest of the world who never saw it on Broadway goes, so what's that movie about? And you tell them and they're like, that's what that movie's about. And it's like, yeah, that's that
see,
movie's
I know
about.
nothing about that.
I could give you
Dear
this.
Evan Hansen's a bit tricky one, but it's like Evan Hansen's a socially awkward kid. A kid kills himself and then he makes up that they were best friends and like gets ingratiated with his family and dates the sister. And it's really like, that's how I understand it. I'm not saying
And there's songs.
and Ben Platt
Yeah.
Ben Platt is like belting and crying, and it's Pensack and Paul who wrote Greatest Showman and what's the other one? Dogfight and
Well, I'm sold.
well, this is the thing.
And I'm not saying that you can't make a musical out of that. It's just you're kind of surprised. You're like, that's what that's about. I had no idea. I had no idea that a major plot point in Wicked is about talking animals being taken away and put in camps.
Yep.
Like we're doing kind of a authoritarian commentary
Yep.
on talking animals.
Yep.
And the movie's like, this is what this is about. And then kind of forgets that's what it's about. And then goes, oh, by the way, this is what this is about.
I think it lands much more in the film version than it does on stage. On stage, you're
Really?
like, because you know you got the
Yeah, I'd
prop,
agree with
the
that.
prop lion they run away with, and things, and then like
the Cowardly Lion.
it is.
So-
Actually.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, it's
so
crazy.
that in itself is problematic.
I was so happy no one said, God, this lion sure is cowardly. Like, the points for that, at
It's
least.
like she's hard up against the Cowardly Lion in The Wizard of Oz, like in terms of opposition, and yet she's a very big support. Don't
You said
take-
she's hard up against the Cowardly Lion.
But let's-
Your words.
Yeah, the Wizard of Oz is not the same. Like they're not the same world as Wicked. Like they sort of play into each other. But
see
Wicked,
that can go fuck itself. In my opinion, I think
Why?
if you're going to connect them. Don't take The Wizard of Oz and go, well, let's do it better and let's
because
change.
isn't the Wizard of Oz based on the book as well? But it's not a faithful adaptation because this is all.
Yeah, there's stories that were like L. Frank Baum had these other stories,
Yeah.
and it was all sort of like we'll
Because
pile in the stuff
they're
that
playing
works
into Wizard of Oz, but
cinematically.
it's not actually the same.
I would say
Well,
too
to
that
some
we
degree.
need to see part 2, right? Because part 2, I don't know how that looks. We had a conversation leading into this, being like, I wonder how they're going to do this in 2 parts, because obviously the climactic moment of Wicked
Mhm.
is the song. I've jumped into the Butler's Pantry here. I'm so
That's
sorry,
okay.
but-
This is important. This is all to do with the adaptation and where it's at now.
But the song is the peak moment, right? Even in the stage
Defying
show,
Gravity.
that's Defying Gravity,
Yeah.
right before interval.
Yeah.
And then Act 2 is a bit meh. It's a bit kind of whatever.
It's going to be much darker, I think.
I think so too, but it's
So
like,
you're going to hate it, Tom.
how are they going to make part 2 really?
Yes.
How are they going to make part 2 for the film really interesting, because you don't have that Defying Gravity moment?
I will eat my name unpleasant object that's not edible if they don't have Defying Gravity as a reprise in the second version. They're gonna do it.
They are.
They're gonna do it. Like
Yeah,
they're just
they'll
gonna be
add
like,
something
what
in.
are we gonna do? How are we not gonna
But
do it
they've
again?
got just. I was like, what have they got? They got I'm Not That Girl, which is beautiful. As Long as You're Mine, which is a duet with Elphaba and Fierro. No Good Deed, which is sick. Elphaba's like, that's a huge song. And then For Good is the duet for Glinda and Elphaba, and that's going
Because
to be
Act
like
2
this.
really opens up for Elphaba in terms of songs, right? Like she
She gets
gets a fair bit. Like,
no, I wouldn't say any. Not really.
oh, okay.
It's. I mean, yeah, she's the lead, so she's singing a lot, but
Sure,
not more. You
sure.
wouldn't go, wow, it's so much more singing than Act 1. I don't know. They probably will crowbar in a Defying Gravity, but
Yeah.
it's still got a lot of amazing musical moments, and I think
So
the story
sorry.
acts as more of the vessel rather than the song.
And
There's more-
I have
obviously
seen the
it's-
musical 3 times. I just remembered I did see you do it.
Mm.
I forgot. I thought so. I've seen Fleetwood.
But you
twice.
forgot.
Yeah. Because I was thinking, I was like, no, I know what he looked like. I saw him on stage. Anyway,
You've just seen that photo.
so I've seen it 3 times.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter who's singing it. When Defying Gravity happens, the song starts, and I go, "Nah, you're not going to cry this time. You're not going to cry this time.
Why would you? Yeah.
And then it builds and it builds, and then it gets to the bit, and I lose it every time. And I was wiping tears away from my face behind those 3D glasses.
Yeah.
And
It's-
embarrassed about it.
But it's stunning
because I was
because
like,
it's
why
like,
has it got me again?
it just it's like like
the
Tom
way
said,
the
the
builds.
music is great. It builds, it starts so simply and beautifully, and I think the context of where we are, and it might be a little cheesy, but it's also like, who cares? It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
but it works.
Yeah.
Cheesy or not, it works. I tried to fight it, and
You're never
works.
gonna. You can't. You can't.
You don't
can't beat
like
it.
the Let It Go comparisons, which I understand because you don't like that song and you like Defying Gravity. But the other thing that associates them or binds them is just like we talked about with Let It Go. It's the it's the lyrical vagueness of Defying Gravity. Except for the fact that it is called Defying Gravity, no other part of that song references because I'm a witch or because I'm green. And I mean, it's a song that can work in any context.
It's a hit single.
very
It's
true.
not.
You can
It's
put
not.
it
It's not a plot
anywhere,
mover.
and it's about liberation.
Because again,
because
of the context of the film, I was. You go, that's kind of what she's referencing. A lot of the lyrics, like you said, are so vague. They've given it point in the film, but if you listen to it without the visual, you go, yeah, it's vague. It's
Hey,
fine.
is the lyric "I'm limited" or "unlimited"?
unlimited power.
No, well,
If she was saying
just
I'm limited
it's
power, it would be
explain to me though.
unlimited.
When she says unlimited,
Unlimited.
what are we getting at here? What's unlimited?
And
Her potential.
Doesn't she
Okay,
then
yeah,
follow it
yeah,
up with
yeah,
power every time? Or does she just say
No,
unlimited?
Thomas.
I thought she says power.
Speaking of power,
we
MV.
wait. I want to say one more thing while we're in the pantry, and then we should get out.
Yeah,
Which is
please.
essentially that.
Smells weird in here.
Yeah, I apologize.
Tom's beer.
I live down here, guys. I think that productions like this probably work a lot better. I think I will see the stage version of this one day. I think I'm going to like it a lot more than I liked the movie because I don't think I bring the logic and the sort of, okay, well, if I'm going to spend so much time here, I'm going to try to work out what's going on with the character alliances and the dynamics and what is the plot and what is actually like happening moment to moment. And I think in the musical, every 5 minutes there's a new song, or maybe 10 sometimes, right? But it's really just like spectacle, grandeur, fantastic, good music. I'm in. What's the plot? Something in Oz. I don't give a shit. Like, this looks great. And I felt this. I'm not trying to diminish it, but I could watch the musical that way. I feel.
Yeah.
And I can't watch the movie that way because it's too particular. It's too invested in the, well, the plot of this movie is that there's a young girl who sort of can do magic. She makes a coin float once, and then she's being tricked into using the mystical text that no one else can read to give monkeys wings. And also her roommate is the future good witch who she gets to come to the magical lessons with her because she gave her a hat once and also got a guy to ask her sister who's in a wheelchair to a dance. And I'm like, this is too... I don't understand why this is so complicated. This is too many moments where I'm like,
sorry,
I'm
Tom.
trying to pay attention to things that make very little sense.
You're a pretty
or
smart
are
guy.
Those are way too complicated.
That's
Debatable.
Way too
Debatable.
That's 3 plot points you've said. That's not that complicated. The bad guy's trying to
Go on.
recruit you because he knows you have the skill to do it, and he can't do it, so he wants you on
Which
his team.
you have because your mother had an affair with a man who was drinking a green elixir, and
Who is
then
the wizard.
your sister, of course, they had to drink milk nettles or milk poppies, then she had to come out too quick. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, every step of this, I feel like everything they've obviously added, you can say they didn't add it,
I didn't add any of that. That's all. That's
time,
all in the stage show.
they've padded it. They've
That's all in the
obviously
stage show.
fleshed
That's
it.
literally all in the stage
Frank,
show. It's literally all in the stage show.
Anyone who wants to tell me, I don't know what to tell you, but it's all there on the stage as well. They
Read
just
the s-
somehow managed to fit it into 2
Read
hours
the
and 40
script,
minutes
Thomas.
on the stage. Can you explain to me, do you really think they have not continually in
I
this
was-
No,
movie?
okay, whoa.
Go on.
You can both. I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
Okay.
Let's just take a breath.
Thomas doesn't know what he's. This is unfair though.
Frank, let me finish. You are.
I like when I
you
sound
are
like the reasonable one.
both.
Don't.
You are both right.
Can't be.
You are both right.
Pick a side.
No, because Frank, yes, everything that's in this film is in the musical.
Yeah.
Yes, Tom, it is dragged out and elongated, and to a point where, yes, there's a couple of scenes that are, whether it just be visual only, filler scenes. There's some stuff in there to pad it out because, of course, you have to. You're both right.
I don't think you have to. Is
They
my
could
contention,
have
but
done it
anyway,
in
keep
2
going.
hours 20. I'll say
I
that. They
think
could have
in
done it
terms of
shorter.
world building, which is very important.
Yeah.
World building is very important. And the stage show is limited, right? Not unlimited.
Mm.
It is limited because of what you have. I mean, you get a chance this time because a big gimmick in the stage show is obviously seeing Elphaba get on the broom.
Yeah.
Massive moment, right?
Which, looking back now, you go,
Visually,
wow.
you're like, wow, awesome, sick.
Uh-huh.
Can probably work out how they did that, but either way, it's really cool.
A scissor lift.
And then
Bzzz. No, it's not
in
Hazel.
the
Can
film,
you imagine?
to me, the film version of that was, I think, underwhelming, if I can be honest, because it's easier. You can do whatever. You can have her fly through the sky. And rock
It
the
doesn't
building.
mean anything.
The
No,
argument,
yeah.
the
But-
argument
Agreed.
that on film things are easier versus on the magic of seeing a musical on stage, they're different things, and that's hard. That's a fair comparison to make because on stage in a room with the singers singing in front of you, I think always feels a little bit more special.
Yeah.
But I think they've done an exceptional job of capturing that magic and putting it to film.
Yeah.
I think it's the best musical we've seen ever on film.
Yeah.
And I think
Oh,
what are you gonna say?
No,
What are you gonna
What's
say?
your rebuttal to that? If you're gonna,
That Frank said this is the greatest musical he's ever seen on film.
yeah.
I think that's a take, and I disagree with it. But that's
wait,
fine.
wait. But you're saying that musical taken from stage and then adapted to screen?
Yeah. What else is there? How many musicals have they written just for a movie? Grease?
Yeah. What was
I don't
first?
know. I
Was
don't
Grease
know.
was
I
the
have no
movie
idea.
first and then the
I
musical?
know nothing about
Anyway, my point
Grease.
is, Tom, what's your rebuttal? What's better?
West Side Story,
See, that's
Which one?
Chicago,
No,
the most recent
close.
West Side
Chicago's
Story.
great. Chicago's great.
I really like Chicago.
West Side Story. I wish there was
I
more
really like
vivid colours.
I really like
though.
Oliver. I really like
Oliver?
Yes, I really like My
Oliver?
Fair Lady.
Ah,
I really like The Sound of Music. I really like Mary Poppins. I really like 42nd Street. I really like other musicals. I like Cats better than this movie, which I know is not a cool thing to say, and I apologize, but I do like Cats better than this movie.
we need to go on MVP because Thomas is an idiot and I can't stand him.
what's Elphaba?
What's her name? Cynthia Erivo.
Reeve.
Yes, I agree.
Incredible.
100%.
Yeah, Cynthia Erivo.
I think she holds the film together so beautifully. She's naturally so powerful and eloquent and just awesome. That's all. They're the words I could bring out.
That was nice. That was
Thanks.
nice. Thomas, anything to say?
I really wish she'd had more opportunity to sing. When she did sing, nothing else mattered. So that was what I wanted more from this movie, and the things I wanted less of that I'm sure we could go like another 10 rounds on.
That's
but
enough.
It's just
We're
the
doing
things,
MVP.
The
Most
things,
valuable,
the things
the
that I
fun
just
things,
think
the
were
good things.
unnecessary that they fleshed out clearly.
So
But it's
I
fine.
think Cynthia's going to win the Oscar, and then she'll be an EGOT, and that'll be fantastic. Is anyone going to throw in the power?
Has she got? What else has she got for
Emmy, all for I think Color Purple.
an Emmy?
Yeah, for Aretha.
Okay,
Maybe.
Interesting. She's great. I would love to see her nominated. I was shocked. I was having a conversation the other day saying, well, Ariana will be nominated in actress. And Loxley was like, no, supporting. And I was like, that's absurd. She'll go to
Well-
actress. And the Hollywood Reporter is literally reporting today that, like, nope, they've been submitted for actress for Cynthia and best supporting for Ariana.
Which
So-
is the opposite of what? Not opposite.
well,
but
no,
what they,
they
did for
both
Chicago.
got actress.
No,
Oh,
yeah, sorry. For the Tonys, they both went for actress.
Yes.
But for Chicago, for the Oscars,
Yeah.
Catherine Zeta-Jones went for Best Supporting Actress and won.
Yes.
Whereas Renee Zellweger got nominated for Actress.
People want to give it to Ariana as well, which I kind of understand. on
Yeah,
some
she's
level.
she's truly exceptional. We haven't really spoken about her enough, but we don't have time, so no one's throwing anything in.
I'll throw her in the power.
What?
Oh, he's
Wait.
going lower.
Yeah, I'm feeling a 1. No, I would go like a 4. I've never seen him this exasperated.
Oh, Deadpool Wolverine.
Yes,
was
you
pretty
have.
exasperated.
You've made me. This
Oh wait, that's right.
exasperated.
Every time we spend time together, it gets to this.
So you're going
after a while.
from 4 to a 4.5.
I'd go like a 4.7.
We win.
I
Tom
think
sucks.
the
This
best,
is great.
the best thing you can say about it, that everything you said I disagree with at all, was the sound in this movie is really well mixed.
Yeah.
I think the lyrics and the tone are so perfect and so well captured, considering it was like largely sung live on the set.
They had hidden microphones everywhere.
Yes. And that I don't
Magic.
think you can really put Cynthia in a box and just say, well, that's good, but the rest of it sucks. It's like, yeah, but she's so good in it. And when she was singing Defying Gravity, I felt stuff finally 7 hours into this movie. So, yeah.
I'm going to go back to the original 8.
Could have seen it coming.
You planned that in advance? I'm
No,
going to start
I
with a 9.
genuinely didn't. I just
You're coming
fucked
down
up,
a bit.
but I am going to come down a bit
Because the colour wasn't vibrant enough for you.
No, I don't necessarily agree with a lot of what Thomas said. There's some things that the more I've thought about it during our talk, I'm like, there's some scenes that I don't really love, and there's some moments I don't love. 2 hours 40 is too long as well, right?
Disagree.
Yeah, it was too long. But
I'm going to throw in the PAL as well. I'm going 10.5.
Throw in the PAL.
It's just perfection to watch. It's so enjoyable. Ugh,
you're going to go again?
Yeah, 100%. All right.
I'm not compelled to go again, but
You've already seen it 3 times on stage.
Yeah, 4 times too many.
2 memorable times. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening to that episode of Throw in the PAL.
Can you guys hug it out or something? I just want to feel
No,
the
he's
love
too
again.
sweaty.
Sorry.
That's the best laugh I got all day.
You said something funny.
Finally.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to Throw in the PAL. My name is Frank.
Frank is a smoker.
Hey.
That was wicked.
And Tom's here too.
So here I go.
You don't send us an email.
Yeah, to
Hit
the
us up on
Insta.
Instagram. throwinthepal@gmail.com. Tell us the best musical ever.
Ever.
Is it wicked?
Best musical on film ever. That's wild.